One is to allow them to have more programs in one of their satellite offices on Gardena Boulevard, which is a little bit closer to the Harbor Gateway. And the other thing this $75,000 will do, it'll actually, we're focusing on transporting those kids after school, because both of these areas are a little bit too far for these kids to walk. So this money will allow the Harbor City Boys and Girls Club to purchase a van to actually come into this neighborhood after school, work with the parents on a safe location to pick these kids up, transport them to the Boys and Girls Club for the afternoon, and then bring them home. It's also going to provide vouchers. Some of these kids actually are old enough to want to take public transportation, so we're going to give them vouchers to ride public transportation to the Boys and Girls Club. But either way, I think that $75,000 will go right to the heart of solving this problem of keeping our kids out of gangs, but also keeping them safe, just out of harm's way, which is sad this day and age that we have to work on keeping our kids in a safe place after school and not really allow them to hang out on the corner. Someday this community will be safe. Someday that 204th Street gang will not be a threat to the good people who live in the Harbor Gateway area. So I hope you'll support me on this motion.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hahn. Anybody else wishing to be heard from the council? Seeing none, let's go ahead and prepare the roll and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That is approved.
Thank you.
District 8 Councilmember Bernard Parks asked for support of a $50,000 reward for information leading to the identification, apprehension, and conviction of the person or persons responsible for the death of Arturo Ramirez on February 22, 2007.
I would just ask that for community support in helping us solve a very serious crime that occurred on Thursday, February 22nd, 2007 at approximately 2 p.m. A 38-year-old resident of the 8th District, Arturo Ramirez, was fatally struck by unknown suspects near Vermont and 68th Street in South Los Angeles. Mr. Ramirez was with his girlfriend when this confrontation occurred by two suspects described only as male African Americans. One of the suspects blocked the couple's path while the other struck Mr. Ramirez in the head with a club-like weapon. The suspects then took Mr. Ramirez's property and fled. Mr. Ramirez eventually succumbed to the injuries at the scene. This case is being handled by 77 detectives, Detective David Craig. The callback number is 213-485-4164. And we're moving forward on a $50,000 reward in hopes that we can get information would help them solve the crime. So we're asking for public support and assistance in helping 77th on this case.
Thank you very much, Mr. Parks. Anybody else wishing to be heard on this? If not, please prepare the roll and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
LA City View is the government access cable channel for the City of Los Angeles, featuring live coverage of city council meetings and programming about city department services and events. Now, if you have suggestions or comments about any of the programs you see here on Channel 35 or would like to receive a free viewer guide, call our viewer hotline at 213-473-3978. And remember, you can watch all Los Angeles City Council meetings live in their entirety on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays beginning at 10 a.m. On Sundays, you can watch the replay of all the week's meetings, also beginning at 10 a.m. Well, that concludes our program for the week ending March 16th, 2007. On behalf of John Worthy and everyone here at Channel 35, I'm Jack Popejoy. Thank you for watching, and please join us for the next Council Week in Review.
My name is Jacques Hay, and I'm a community activist, and I have a goal in my life to try to make the city a better city every day. I'm also involved in a lot of community events, but recently inside our trophy shop, we put in a 9-hole miniature golf course, complete with palm trees, sand traps, a water hole, and we held a miniature golf contest for a local high school down the street called Miller High School, in which all 240 of the students in the school have a disability, and we raised over $8,000 having a miniature golf contest for the school. My family was fortunate enough 12 years ago to start the first camp for Jewish children with disabilities. The name of the camp is Camp Chesed. Chesed in Hebrew means loving kindness. And for 2 weeks out of the year, we take about 40 kids and their families to Disneyland, Universal Studios, the whole gambit for 2 weeks. It's absolutely free. We provide 2 to 3 counselors per child, and we take no money at all from the families and spend the whole year fundraising for the camp. I'm fortunate enough to live in a city which has beautiful climate. It's large enough that you can do anything you want on a certain day, go to the beach, go to the mountains, etc. And yet it still has a sense of community where you live. My name is Jacques Kay, and I'm a face of LA.
LA City View Channel 35. Your city, your channel.
Good morning, Los Angeles, and welcome to the City Council meeting for March 21st, 2007. We are in our City Council chambers, John Ferraro Memorial Council chambers in room 340 of City Hall. We meet here every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m., and we welcome members of the public to join us here in Council. We are also broadcast live whenever we meet on Channel 35 through the city's cable system on LA City View, your city channel, and rebroadcast via tape in the evening. If you're not close to a television, you can always tune in through your computer at the city's homepage, lacity.org, and watch live streaming webcast video of our council meetings as well. And finally, if you're not close to a television or a computer, you can use your telephone to call in on Council Phone, which is 213-621-CITY, and you can listen to the proceedings of the City Council or any of our council committees. We invite members of the public to come here and to testify on general public comment, which is for items that are not on our agendas, but are nevertheless under our jurisdiction, and each speaker is given 2 minutes to address the council. Also on items that have not had a public hearing in committee, we invite members of the public to give testimony here on those specific items as well. Every item that is considered by the Los Angeles City Council receives a public hearing pursuant to the Brown Act, or the opportunity for a public hearing, either in council committee or in the full City Council. And if you live closer to Van Nuys, we invite you to testify remotely from Van Nuys City Hall, where we have capacity to hear you here in City Hall and to see you on Channel 35 as well. For copies of our agendas, you can find those at lacity.org, where there's a wealth of information about your elected officials, about city departments and services to improve your quality of life. There's also council ambassadors that are usually in the back of the room here who can help you get through the agenda or can answer any of your questions about the ins and outs of our council meetings. I want to thank the council members who are here pursuant to our council rules timely at the top of the hour. Thank you to council members Cardenas, Gruhl, Labange, Parks, Rosendahl, Wesson, and Zine. That brings us to 8 members, and we are waiting 2 more, or 10 members at a minimum, 2/3 of our 15-member body, which constitutes a quorum and allows us to begin business. So I'd like to ask Councilmember Hahn, Councilmember Huizar, Councilmember Perry, Councilmember Smith, and Councilmember Weiss to please join us. We now are at 8 members still, and we are waiting 2 more. As soon as we have those council members, Councilmember Hahn, we're awaiting your presence. Councilmember Huizar, we're awaiting your presence. Thank you, Councilmember Perry, for joining us. And we're waiting for Councilmember Smith and Councilmember Weiss. Councilman Reyes is excused today. He's homesick, and we wish him a quick recovery. So if Councilmember Hahn, Huizar, Smith, and Weiss will join us. We're waiting 1 more council member, and then we'll begin the meeting. I want to thank the members of the public and our viewing audience for their patience as we await 1 more council member. Thank you. Call the roll.
Cardenas, Gruhl, Hahn, Huizar, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Smith, Weiss, Wesson, Zine, Garcetti. 10 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
First order of business, please.
Approval of the minutes.
All right. Ms. Perry moves and Mr. Parks seconds. If there's no objection, those minutes will be approved unanimously. Next order of business, please.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
All right. Mr. Labange moves, and I'll second those. Without objection, those 2 are unanimously approved. Next order of business, please.
Mr. President, do you wish to take up public comment at this time?
Let's run through the agenda first.
First item on the agenda is the annual weed and brush abatement program for 2007, a notice for public hearing.
Okay. And we will open the public hearing for that. Are we supposed to continue that, or are we voting on that?
No, to actually vote today.
Okay. Anybody wishing to call that special? There's no speaker card, so we'll open and close the public hearing. Please open the roll.
Mr. President, that is an ordinance, and there are 12 members expected today.
Okay.
Do you want to hold that?
Yeah, let's hold that till we have 12 members. For members of the public, ordinance can be passed on the first reading with 12 members present, so we'll hold that and number 2 on the table till we have 12 members. Next items, please.
Next items 3 through 19, are items for which public hearings have been held. Items 3 through 5 are commission appointments. Do you wish to hold those on the desk?
Please, let's hold the commission appointments on the desk and the 6 and 7 as well as ordinances. Colleagues, numbers 8 through 19. Any special items from 8 through 19? Seeing none, let's go ahead and open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote on the balance.
10 ayes.
Those are approved. Next items, please.
Items 20 through 41 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Okay. Why don't we hold the ordinances on the desk until we have 12 members? This leaves us 28 through 41. We have a card on 36, so we'll call that special. Any other specials, colleagues, on 28 through 41? 28 through 41. Let's open the roll then, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Those are approved. Next items, please.
Items 42 through 47 are the closed session items. Do you wish to hold those on the desk?
Yes, please. Let's hold the closed session items on the desk. And what time is the special meeting for?
That is agendized for 10:15.
Okay, so we'll wait on that. Why don't we go ahead and come back to our general public comment at this time. I'd like to invite Zuma Dog to come forward.
Yes, hello. Thank you, City Council. I'd like to recognize we have some people here that came here today simply to observe. They came here to participate, to see what happens here. I was just mentioning to them how great the Brown Act is. You can have people like me, Zuma Dog. It's been 1 year. This is the 1 year anniversary of Zuma Dog because this is the 1 year ago they imposed a ordinance on Venice Beach that stole away my income, and it was unconstitutional. So Zuma Dog and Matt Dowd came here to City Hall to complain against council, but they didn't do anything about it. So lives were destroyed. People moved out of the city. They had to go on food stamps. They became homeless, and terrible things happened. It's called gentrification, childrens, and they're doing it to build $1.5 million condos. So they didn't do anything about it, and then the problem was that now the police are scared to enforce it because Zuma Dog and Matt Dowd put them on record and said it's unconstitutional. So now the police isn't enforcing it. So come on down to Venice Beach and buy some incense, jewelry, and Zuma Dog shirts because the police won't do nothing because they don't want to set themselves up for a lawsuit at the hands of Shady City Council with their agendas. And now I'd like to say that you can come here and talk about other things like bond measures that cost too much money like Prop H. It lost by only 4% of the vote. And when you add up all of my public comments, all of my blogging, and all of my calls on KABC, some people say that's the 4% margin of error. So you could cost $1 billion bond as well if you feel it's bad. But you have to study hard and take a lot of community input and talk to as many people as you can so you come out on the right side of the issue because you don't want to use your political activism for bad things, y'all. So come on out to City Hall. You can use a name like Zuma Dog and don't even have to tell them your real name because there's First Amendment Brown Act protections. So if they ask for your ID at the door, tell them no thank you, just give me my pass and let me talk out against these shady fraud, waste, and abuse bamboozlements. And now parents, I'd like to remind you, you can't expect LAUSD to fix your kids. Fix your kids and you'll be helping to fix LAUSD. Zuma Dog for mayor in 09. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dog. Our next speaker is Matt Dowd. And after that will be Oscar Johnson. Good morning.
Thank you very much, Council President, for deciphering the Brown Act with the speaker card. I just came in to admit that I was wrong. When I first brought Zuma Dog down to Chambers, I thought he'd only last 2 weeks and get bored, but I was wrong. It's been a year, and it looks like it's never going to end. Anyway, I just came in to make a public announcement for all the people who want to go out to Venice Beach to partake in any First Amendment protected expressive activities. We had a ruling from one of the judges on our case. Let me just decipher what she said. She said that the Ninth Circuit has recognized that items for sale when constituting political, religious, or ideological messages are protected. So if you want to go down there with a T-shirt to Venice Beach that says, "Get out of Iraq," you can sell that, contrary to what the City Council will have you believe. Anyway, meanwhile, this whole Venice Beach ordinance was challenged in court, and the city declared that they were going to suspend it. And I've got the council file right here where the city attorney says that lawsuit had considerable merit. So they suspended it. But then what they did is they just brought the same thing back with different words and different designations. And here's the old one and it says inextricably intertwined merchandise with a political statement, and that's what the Ninth Circuit judge said that she likes. And the part that you changed, we just got a copy right now. There it is, certified copy from Dean Pregerson, who says the part that they put in is unconstitutional. So instead of making it better, they made it worse. But if you understand that, it means the city attorney screwed this up big time. Mark Brown for city attorney.
Thank you. Oscar Johnson is our next speaker. And we'll go out to Van Nuys for Miriam Fogler.
Good morning, sir. My name is Oscar Johnson. I'm an active for the homeless, and I see where the mayor, director of the MTA, and there's a lot of MTA buses that's riding the streets of Los Angeles that's not in service, and I think they're unauthorized. And numerous of senior citizens tell me in Los Angeles that they are afraid to ride on the MTA buses because they are not safe. And then we have a place down on Los Angeles in LA down on 7th and Hill Street at the McDonald's. It can sit 75 or 80 people in the McDonald's, but they don't have a place to wash their hands. And that's just against the health law. And I was telling someone, I get the word we say democracy, but I feel like we're in communism. And because I see so much that government have extended their hand so far to us, we begin to be more government prone. And I used to think it was wrong for government to give government money until I see where government can give grants money to politicians. And I think that is against the Constitution. But it's only to benefit them that seem like one race of people are giving money to the same race to be subject for other people to be subject under them. And that is against our Constitution of the United States and what we stand for. When I see that we got a child support law, and I read where the Constitution tells us that government cannot tell you how to raise your children. But we know that more laws represent more money, I guess, and more oppression to the people of color that cannot measure up or stand up to the law. But and I was seeing the direction of that our immigrant had come into this country. Seemed like we have became a country of exploit. We know that immigrant ain't going no place in America but down. Only someone might go up in America, going to be African America of the majority, and the other people's in the middle just something to be made or be a token with for the time being. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Our next speaker is out in Van Nuys, at Van Nuys City Hall, Miriam Fogler. Welcome.
I see you forgot about 9/11 when we had planes go into our buildings, and remembering all the people that are dying in Iraq. You had those people here yesterday, and I have to talk and tell you that you passed 29 without even a public hearing.
Just so you know, we received
And
your
I
card,
called the
and
people-
we'll be
I called the
reconsidering that
people-
for you, Ms. Fogler, so we can make sure we get your public testimony on that.
Okay, you're cutting into my time. I need extra 2-3 seconds. The NRA, I called them up, and they're all coming out here. Hopefully they will. But anyway, regarding the war in Iraq, and this is affecting our city services along with the CRA, the Community Redevelopment is taking our money. The war is going on because we are fighting enemies, monsters out there that want to behead us, and nobody in life, no caring, nothing. And this is this is a very bad flaw in that 29, the very bad thing to disarm the law-abiding people. It's against the Constitution. It's against God's law, the right to defend yourself. You have the right to kill somebody who's coming to try to murder you. And you have no right to pass any legislation against guns or anything, ammunition. You have no right to tell people they cannot have a CCW in the city. This is illegal, totally illegal what you're doing, holding back the right to have people to have permits in the city. And this is going to change. As time goes on, we have our leftists who are telling us we have to pull out of Iraq and to save our poor boys and girls because, they're fighting what's right. And unfortunately, I wish I could go there myself and get rid of these monsters, but unfortunately, we have to deal with here at home and to be well established with our own right to defend ourselves and be ready and be trained and not panic. And I'm just telling you, I can't see how many people are in the seats here at City Council. I never can. All I can see is myself speaking, and this is outrageous.
Thank you, Ms. Fogler. Our next speaker is Sharon Brewer, out in Van Nuys as well.
Again, is it possible to take and get a little warning, and then I would be right here?
I mentioned that you were
Sure.
coming up next. Sorry. Go ahead, though, please.
That's all right. Sharon Brewer. First off, no city council Tuesday, March 27th, and Wednesday, March 28th, because of no quorum. That's not acceptable. The job of the council members is to be at city council on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday to conduct city business. This impacts the people that are scheduled to be on the agenda. 2, Persian New Year, April 1st, 2007, event at Lake Balboa. Nothing posted in English at Lake Balboa as of this morning. I went by the park. 3, San Fernando Valley Fair at Woodley Park. Let the public know about an event to be held in June 2007. Community had concerned CD6 slaps restrictions on Fair Board about event. 4107 Persian New Year event at Lake Balboa. No advertising for this event in English to let the community know what to expect from this vendor. CD6 does nothing. CD6, why 2 sets of standards with regards to events being held in the Sepulveda Basin? The other thing that needs to be addressed, and I wish you would look into, are city vehicles parked at meters over here in Van Nuys. They're taking away the public's parking, and they shouldn't be allowed to take and park at the meters. They have parking underground, and still concerned about the event at Lake Balboa because, like I said, there is nothing in English about what's going on. I sent an email to Recreation and Parks today and have not received anything. So I hope somebody will take and let me know what's going on before the event happens. Thank you.
Thank you, and thanks for pointing out that we will be out of session. Just as a point of information for our viewing public, the City Council, one of our core jobs besides meeting here in City Council is representing our city and lobbying our Washington and Sacramento counterparts. And there are hundreds of millions of dollars that the mayor and City Council members will be going to D.C. to hopefully finalize some of the plans for and to be heard. And we've learned time and time again, if we're not in Sacramento and not in Washington, those dollars don't come back. So that is why we will not be meeting, but we certainly will be working very hard for the people of Los Angeles next week, and we'll be back in session on Friday. That closes our general public comment. If we can take up the ordinances that we held on the desk, and that before that, Mr. Weston, an introduction? Absolutely. Okay, and then we'll take up the ordinances.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. I just have 2 quick introductions. We're honored today to have the governor of the Gyeongsang Northern Province of the Republic of Korea, the Honorable Governor Kim. Please stand up. Let's give Governor Kim a round of applause. He's a Korean version of Arnold Schwarzenegger, okay? Also, I have with me today a dear friend of mine, spends a lot of time in Brazil, Dr. Kim, and with him is Dr. Yoon, who is the president of the World Cyber University, and Dr. Hugh is with him as well. Could you stand and please recognize him? Welcome to Los Angeles.
Thank you very much, and welcome. It's an honor to have you here in City Council and visiting us in Los Angeles with the entire delegation. Thank you very much for being here. If we can take up the ordinances that we held on the desk for 12 members now, and you have an announcement on number 2, I believe?
Yes, Mr. President. Those are items 1, 2, 6, 7, and 20 through 27. And on item 2, that is the Sylmar Business Improvement District item. And the city clerk reports that there were 10 ballots in favor for 91.45%, 1 ballot in opposition for 8.55%, and 1 ballot did not indicate a yes or no and therefore was not included in the overall tabulation.
Okay. Thank you. Let's go ahead and open the roll on the balance of those items, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Those are approved. Thank you. If we can reconsider item number 29 real quick, and then I'll get you Mr. Labange as well for a speaker card that came in as we were voting on that. Please open the roll on reconsideration, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
And we'll call that special for the speaker card, Ms. Fogler, item number 29. We'll hold that on the desk. Mr. Labange.
Forthwith on number 7.
Number 7, if there's no objection, forthwith. And with that, let's take up our commissioners. Yes, I'm sorry, Mr. Smith.
Yes, for forthwith on number 18 as well.
18 without objection. We'll send forthwith. Okay. Mr. Clerk, next item.
Items 3 and 4 are the appointments of Celeste Eileen and Adolfo Nodal to the Cultural Affairs Commission.
Well, let's have them come forward, and I know these are both quite familiar faces to many of us around the Horseshoe, and I'll recognize the chair of our Arts Committee, Mr. LaBonge.
We have two fine nominees on behalf of Mayor Villaraigosa for our commission. Both have great passion to do great things for our Cultural Affairs Department. I will ask them both to make an introductory remark, and I'm sure you'll be impressed, as I certainly was this morning. Thank you. Ms. Celeste.
Good morning, Council members. Good morning, Council President. Celeste Eileen, Director of Community Affairs for Microsoft. I know many of you around the table because we've worked very closely on some programs that are near and dear to my heart. I've been in the city for about 15 years, working very tirelessly for arts education and arts funding at both AT&T, Nike, and now Microsoft. I am passionate about art. I believe in fighting for diverse art programs. I have supported many of the festivals, Latino, African American, and Asian festivals here in the city. I've helped create programs and cleanups for parks in the city, especially in our district, Council President. And I provided over 200 grants for arts programming. I believe that it's important that we continue to create diverse arts programming in this city. It's a phenomenal city, and I know that we can do better. And so I hope that my work on this commission will support that. My friend Al Nodal, who's right beside me, has been in this fight for many, many years, and I'm looking forward to partnering with him as well as my other commissioners to make this happen.
Thank you, Mr. Nodal.
Hello, everyone. My name is Adolfo Nodal, and I'm very happy to go back to the department. I was GM of that department for 12 years, about 5 years ago.
I thought you looked familiar.
And I'm very happy to go back as a commissioner. I think we have an opportunity to be a real activist commission. I think we can do a lot. The department and this commission should be the first respondent when it comes to issues of the image of the city, when it comes to issues of the spirit of the city. And I want to try to do my part to help that department achieve that. We can be an active friend of the arts. We don't have to be just a funder of the arts. We can be partners with the arts community to make the city a great place. All of you that know me know that I really believe in many issues about the arts community. One is I have zero tolerance for censorship. I really, as a commissioner, I'm going to be very strong about that. At the same time, I recognize that there's a responsibility to free expression. So there's got to be a balance of free expression and really being responsible about it. I believe in excellence in a broad variety of, in a broad sense. I really also believe in equity. I believe that the whole city should be supported with cultural programs. The great town of San Pedro, which is where I live, should get as much as downtown LA and as much as the Valley and other parts of the city. So equity is going to be an important thing for me as I do my work in the commission. I support culture of all kinds. I believe all culture has a place in our wonderful city of Angels. And I also support great design. Our commission is responsible for overseeing design of buildings that are built on city property. And, you know, good design doesn't cost any extra money, but it really helps. It's got an incredible value to the city. So I'm going to be looking to produce police stations, fire stations, rec and parks facilities that are really the highest quality design possible. And overall, I just think that this department really needs more scope, more energy, and more funding, so I'm going to do my part to do that. So, again, I'm really happy to be here and very, very happy to work for Cultural Affairs again.
Thank you both. Mr. LaBonge, you want to add anything else before we go to
Members, you can see you have tremendous people in committee. We spoke. One of the things we talked about in Mr. Edo from the police department maybe could be wise to listen to this here. Cultural Affairs and I are going to work and come back to all of us to try to ask the police department to create a task force following the lead mainly of Mr. Cardenas. You gave me the idea, Mr. Cardenas, where you have the animal special unit for the police department looks at violence to animals. We're going to look at those who do violence to murals and just desecrate art in the street and try to get a little task force in the police department to focus on that and to go after the aspect of destroying the public art. Mr. Nodell is an expert in all this area here. He's going to bring to that. Ms. Saline is going to bring her energy to all of this. And so I just want to thank you for your serving the city of Los Angeles. I look forward to Mr. Nodell, who I met members 30 years ago? 30 years ago. Was it 30 years ago, Al? In MacArthur Park when the 4th District had MacArthur Park.
First person I met in L.A.
First person he met in L.A.
Sure, it seems like yesterday. All right. We've got a number of members who are excited to add their good wishes and questions as well. Ms. Hahn, then Ms. Gruhl, Mr. Parks, Mr. Labange, and Mr. Huizar.
Thank you, Mr. President. Boy, what a great first person to meet in L.A., Tom Labange. Boy, just think of everybody who first came to L.A. met Tom Labange. What a better city this would be. You know, Celeste, I certainly appreciate your background. I think you bring a great perspective and experience to this commission, and I wholeheartedly support you. I know Al a little better, and I stand up to really give my support to Al. And on one big issue, I think your legacy will live forever, and that's how you worked with my predecessor, Rudy Savornich, to purchase the Warner Grand Theater, which was about to belong to a church. You worked with the city, with Rudy, to purchase that. That is now a landmark in downtown San Pedro, and as you can see, with all of our redevelopment and renovation of downtown San Pedro, we have about 1,300 units of housing now, and that theater has really had a rebirth. And you've worked with the Grand Vision Foundation, a group of volunteers under the direction of Liz Johnson, who has raised hundreds of thousands of dollars to renovate that theater. We now have new seats. So anybody who hasn't been down to the Warner Grand Theater lately really ought to come down and see a real treasure that Al was able to really snatch from, a completely different use to bring it back as a theater. But what I want to ask you, Al, is as we move forward with this great renaissance of downtown, how do we get Warner Grand to another level in terms of programming? I am still been disappointed. I love the theater. I think we have great community events. We now have the Golden State Pops, which I think is in a good direction. But how do we get to a level where we can begin booking recognizable names and performers so that our businesses, our restaurants, our shops in downtown San Pedro can really benefit from a major, consistency in programming there?
Well,
hold my time.
I was happy to be able to bring the LA Philharmonic to the Warner Grand Theater, and that was an incredible night.
That was.
We need more of that.
That was one time.
Yeah, but as San Pedro changes, as people start moving there, we walk that neighborhood every day, and we see that neighborhood getting better, bigger and better. And as that neighborhood starts demanding more, that theater can be promoted better. I mean, I think we got to do more than just films in there. We need to do live theater.
Well, that seems like kind of a catch-22. As they more demand it, then you're going to do it. It seems to me we could take a leap and begin marketing and programming, and then the people will come.
And the department can produce more things there.
Can I get your commitment to look at taking that theater to another level?
That's one of my favorite theaters in L.A., as you know.
Good. Definitely. And the other treasure I think I have in my district is the Watts Towers in the northern part of my district. And I still feel like that is an absolute incredible treasure for Los Angeles. How can we do a better job, and maybe you could both talk about that, in marketing the towers? We're about to open the Charles Mingus Youth Arts Center, which will be a great resource for young budding artists in the Watts community. How can we do a better job of the infrastructure, marketing, that is a real tourist destination for people who come to Los Angeles?
Well, actually, I like to say that marketing is my background and sort of my expertise. And I feel strongly that when you put a face on a program and you look at the people that are in that community and you tell their story, that's when you create the most exciting visibility and publicity for a program. So I'd like to see us go to some of the artists there and some of the community members there and tell why is it so important for people to see what's going on at Watts Towers and also the theater.
And I would just add that now that the Watts Towers are basically restored, we need to open up the doors and let people in there. Programming. I mean, I really see the department as a programming department to take in places like that where there's no economics for it other than what the department can do.
And two great festivals that happen every year, the Drum Festival and the Jazz Festival. I fight for those every single year to get into Cultural Affairs bottom line budget. So those are the kind of things I'd love to hear you say today, that you're committed to keeping the resources at the Watts Towers, because because of this art center that's opening up, we need to really pour resources into that great treasure of Los Angeles.
Well, it's part of the history and sort of the fabric of the city, and without that, it's not Los Angeles. So for many, many years, I remember funding the Drum Festival and Latino History Month and African American History Month. It's important because it speaks to who we are.
Good. I take that as a yes, for committing resources. Okay, I wholeheartedly support both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hahn. Our next speaker is Ms. Gruhl, and then Mr. Parks, Mr. Huizar, Mr. Wesson.
Thank you, Mr. President, and glad to see both of you here. First, I'll talk about Celeste, because Celeste is one of those individuals who I think not only through her job but her own personal commitment has been supportive of things we've been doing in the city of Los Angeles, and how great it is that you're willing and learning kind of your background and marketing, how you can use that to help us in our cultural affairs department. Because as Al can attest to, there's always a lot of talk about how important cultural affairs is in the city of Los Angeles, but we haven't done as well as financially supporting it or even talking generally about what we need to do. And there was a report done a few years ago that looked at cultural kind of affairs in the city of Los Angeles, cultural arts, what we could do, and hopefully the commission can take that and see where there were many recommendations that were put forward that we could actually implement in the city of Los Angeles. And so I would encourage you to do that. But just primarily I want to say thank you, Celeste, for what you've already done and what you're going to do for the city of Los Angeles on this extraordinarily important, I think, commission in the city of Los Angeles. And to Al, Janice and I were talking whether or not this was the first time ever a general manager has gone back to be on the commission. And I think it speaks volumes, number one, the mayor's willingness to do that too, and for your willingness to come back, because I think it was more than just a 12-year job for you. It was really a passion. And I remember particularly one, I can't remember if it was a Saturday or Sunday, where we went to the Jazz Festival and we walked up and down the Central Avenue, and you talked about your vision and what you wanted to see, and this is when I was at DreamWorks. But I think that your interest and your experiences being brought back here to Los Angeles to this commission is going to be extraordinary, and hopefully you both will challenge us to do more, because the cultural arts are so important, and for our children, and it opens up their eyes. I've had the opportunity on, I think it's once a month on Saturday, at Disney Hall, the music center there, where they have music and arts programs specifically geared to cultural diversity, and it really, to see the diversity that participates in that, and how can we build those relationships, what I know we have already, but even to have them grow, and to help our children get excited, because that's really where the future is going to be for them to invest in cultural arts here in the city of Los Angeles. And I don't know, Al, if the last time you were here was your wedding day that you were confirmed, but that demonstrated your commitment for your past commission that you were. So thank you for always being here on important days for you and for the city of Los Angeles. So look forward to working with you and supporting the kinds of things that Ms. Hahn talked about, how important it is in each of our communities, not just the big downtown locations, but places like McGroarty Arts in my district that provides wonderful programming for my Sunland Tujunga community, and looking at North Hollywood in the parts that Tom LaBonge and I share that arts district. So thank you for your willingness. I am over my time, so look forward to working with you all, and when you've settled in, come visit so we can talk about things we can do together. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Mr. Parks is our next speaker, and then Mr. Weezer and Mr. Wesson.
Thank you very much. Just want to say thank you for coming back, and also Celeste, for you taking on this task. The two things I would like to bring up, and it's one of those things that, and you know this better than anybody else, is that the city has a tendency to give small departments tasks beyond their financial capability to fulfill them. What we've not heard in the past is departments coming forward saying, I need a bigger piece of the pie. They try to make it happen. They try to create the environment for these cultural events to occur. Council districts are pounding on you to say, make these things occur. And then the final analysis, if your budget is a little out of sorts, you get dinged at the end of the year. We need a clearer picture at times as to what we're asking to do versus what the cost is, so people have a better idea, because in your effort to please, often financially it's a negative impact on your department. The second thing I'd like to bring up to you is that we have this issue of every time we have an old theater that's getting ready to be sold or closed, we fall in love with it, we buy it, we refurbish it, and then we realize we have no money to run it. And I think we have about 11 of those in the system right now. But those are the two issues I'd ask you to look at, and trying to give some guidance on what's the true impact financially of the programs we're asking you to deal with, and secondarily, how best to deal with these theaters, because at times we're putting you in the position of running the theater. We don't know whether you're in the best position to run it or whether you're in the best position to provide programming, and should someone else run it? Should you be out worried about a leaky roof at a theater, or should that be general services? Those are the kinds of complicated issues that we're going to be asking to look at. It comes through budget and a variety of other committees, but they're really critical issues. And when we take on these responsibilities of theaters, take on these responsibilities of historical sites, the individual or the initial funding for it often is the least amount of money. It's the ongoing maintenance and the ongoing operation that is the long-term financial impact that often isn't looked into. And so I'd ask you to look at those two things for us. And it's just probably, Mr. Nodell, you probably have worked on the front end of this years ago, but these are the things that have accumulated over time that I think are somewhat harmful for the department in its day-to-day operation, because we impose items and issues on you without funding, and then we're giving you tasks that I think often are not within your core responsibilities. And so I just ask you, as you get settled in as a commissioner, those are two very important issues that I think, and many of the members on the budget and finance think are important to put in your lap and see if we can't get them resolved.
Mr. Weezer is our next speaker.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just want to congratulate you and thank you for your service. And Celeste, I worked with you when I was on the school board, and thank you for your work you did back then with Nike, now with Microsoft. And recently we opened up a great after-school program along with Oscar de la Hoya and Boa Heights, and those are the types of things where private sector working with the local sector, we could accomplish a lot in doing that. And thank you so much. I think here we have some great leadership and experience and knowledge to contribute here. I just want to make you aware of two things that are happening in my district. One is on the Broadway corridor downtown, the historic core. I'm looking to support those theaters to open up. I'm not sure what way this commission could get involved with that, but we have here in Los Angeles the highest concentration of historic theaters between 3rd and Olympic, 12 theaters that are looking for the city support are looking for the community support to open them up and make them the great theaters and performance areas that we know they can be. And secondly, the northeast part of my district, there's a new resurgent colony of artists that are now creating their own programming, working with our local schools, doing their own efforts to support the arts, and so hopefully we could get involved with that as well. I've been meeting with some of them separately, and hopefully we're going to get together, form some type of task force to support the arts in Northeast Los Angeles that is really beginning to take off in terms of not only artists who live there, but also they're looking for ways to support our local schools and other community nonprofits. So I look forward to working with you on those things and many others, and thank you and congratulations.
Thank you very much, Mr. Huizar. Mr. Wesson is our next speaker.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. Al, I think that Greg Smith and I have known you the longest. Would that be a good guess on my part?
I think LaBonge.
I forgot about Tommy. So the three of us, because we go way back. But I can remember one of the last discussions that we had. You indicated to me that when you retired, that you were going to open up a Cuban restaurant. What happened with that?
At my house every night.
Well, what I want
You're welcome to come over.
Is invite you to La Bodeguita de Pico.
De Pico, I was there the other night.
Which is in my district. We have to go there and we'll discuss this commission. I support you 100%, both of you, and I'm excited about the future.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wesson. And let me add my tremendous good wishes to both of you, both with some Echo Park links, both with clear artistic and activist links. And I couldn't think of two better nominees for the Cultural Affairs Commission. So we're expecting a lot. As you can see, there's a lot of enthusiasm around this horseshoe for both of you. And we know your records would speak for themselves. And I think this will be a wonderful addition. So with that, let's make it official and open the roll, please. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Congratulations, commissioners. Please give them a round of applause, our new commissioners. Next piece of business, please.
Item 5 is the appointment of Ms. Barbara Ann Perkins to the Police Permit Review Panel.
Okay. Ms. Perkins, if you'd like to come forward this time. Welcome, Ms. Perkins.
Good morning.
Congratulations on your nomination. Why don't you begin by telling us your interest in the position and what you hope to bring to the review panel?
Well, first, let me just say good morning to each of you, and also a big thank you to the mayor for yet again offering an opportunity to be of service to the city of Los Angeles. I became a resident here 22 years ago, and I moved here from New York, Manhattan, and the first thing I noticed in my area in CD7 was that there was no stop signs on the street where I lived. And so I thought it was a very easy process. I thought that you picked up the phone and you called somebody and said, can you put a stop sign up? And about 4 years later, under Councilman Bernardi, we got a stop sign up. So that was my introduction to city service. I've been available to my community of the San Fernando Valley for over 25 years in working to just enhance the living operations and the living conditions for folks. You know, this city is so diverse and there's a lot of opportunities, and service is something that I come from a family of service. Service is something that I'm always interested in. In particular, this commission, I think, gives me an opportunity to learn a lot more about the city. I'm very interested in what it means, well, first of all, to take some of the responsibility and the load off the police commission, which I know this commission does. But more importantly, I'm interested in the process of permitting businesses and communities to work together in a successful manner. I'm also very interested in recruitment of minorities, particularly women, into the area of service. And so to the extent that I can be influential in that regard and smart in terms of helping with this commission's work, I'm open to do that. So thank you.
Thank you very much, and we appreciate your words. And Mr. Cardenas wants to say some things. Ms. Rule will follow that, Mr. Parks, and Mr. Zine. So starting with Mr. Cardenas.
I just want to take the opportunity to let the people of Los Angeles know that Barbara Perkins has been a long-time volunteer and a giver to the community within the San Fernando Valley and beyond. So I just wanted to say thank you, Barbara, for once again giving up of your precious time for the people of Los Angeles, and we look forward to working with you, and your wisdom and your experience will definitely add value to this commission. So thank you very much, Barbara.
Ms. Gruhl.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I want to echo Mr. Cardenas that you have been a frequent contributor to the city and someone who is willing to give of their time and effort. And this panel, one that's not known by a lot of people, but is very important to the city of Los Angeles. And so your experiences and commitment are going to add something to this review panel with the police department. And just want to thank you for always giving, not just now, but always being out there for this community and the city. And we hope, as I say to a lot of commissioners, we don't want this to be the first and last time that we see you about this issue and come talk to us. That we hope as you go through becoming a new member of this panel and being part, because it's not a reappointment, it's a new appointment, correct? Yes. To be able to come back and say, you know, I've learned something here about maybe some changes that could be made that would make it more efficient, or ways in which we could serve the public better. And so I challenge you to come back to us, which I know you're not shy about, to give us some feedback on how we can do things better. But most of all, just to say thank you for your willingness to serve. Thanks, Barbara. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gruhl. Mr. Parks.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to thank Barbara for coming in today and to be a part of this process. Barbara, you were a prior commissioner, and then also I want to thank you. Many people aren't aware, you were one of the first members of the Police Chiefs Forum that dealt with black community issues and actually helped formulate it in the Valley. And we also personally thank you, and that forum is continuing even today because of your work in making sure that every community was involved. One thing in dealing with this particular commission, where do you see that you could, and this is from the Budget and Finance Committee because it is a revenue generating operation, where do you see that you might be able to make an impact as it relates to these issues and bringing more revenue into the city?
Well, I think the partnership between business and community is very important, and to have a sensibility and prudence about what works best for not only the city but also for businesses is one way I think I'll look at it. And I think I have a pretty good view and a good background for being able to process and look at what might be best.
One thing I don't think was mentioned, you're in business yourself, and your husband is in business
we've been in
the
business
city
for 20
of LA.
years.
Yeah, so that gives you an idea of some of the issues that deal with permitting and the issue of revenue generation for the city.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Zion.
Morning.
Good morning.
How long has it been since I've seen you?
It's been a while.
A lot of years.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of years. I know you've always been involved.
Yeah.
When I was with the LAPD and Valley Traffic Division, involved in many community projects. So it's a pleasure seeing you here. And this police permit review panel is critical when it comes to the quality of life in neighborhoods. The conditions that you impose upon different businesses and how those businesses deal with the community issues and concerns, it's very, very important. They know that the other police commission deals with operation with the police department.
Right.
This is dealing with all of those permits that are issued for a variety of businesses, and many of those businesses conflict with quality of life in neighborhoods. So when you're reviewing those, just be sensitive to that.
Absolutely.
They come before, they want to get their permit to do this, that. We want to be pro-business. At the same time, we want to maintain the quality of life. So
yes.
I know with your experience from the stop sign to where you are today, come a long way.
Yeah.
But the progress has been made, and you'll find it challenging, exciting, and those decisions have a major impact on the quality of life for the community and for the city. So I congratulate you. One of the issues that's percolating now is these marijuana clinics, where we're coming forward with a moratorium and conditions. That's floating through the system, so they'll probably be coming before your commission in the near future to put some regulations, because right now there are no regulations, and they're coming into communities and causing disruption. So we want to make sure that they blend with the community, not conflict with the community. So that's on the horizon. But I wish you well. It's a pleasure to see you again after those many, many years, and you look much younger, much younger. So that's a good sign. I look much older, you look much younger.
You're still very smart.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you so much. That's the last speaker in the queue. And Ms. Perkins, congratulations on the nomination. Again, as I was sitting here, Lynette Amirian upstairs said, Barbara Perkins is so wonderful, and she paged it right to my phone. So you are well loved around City Hall, and we're very excited to welcome you back. And so let's make this official as well. And please, Madam Clerk, open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard.
Bye-bye.
All right. Next order of business. Let's actually do the special meeting agenda, if you don't mind. Please recess the regular meeting and call the roll for the special meeting.
Cardenas, Gruel, Hahn, Weezer, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Smith, Weiss, Wesson, Zine, Garcetti, 13 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Okay, first piece of business.
Items 48 and 49 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Okay, don't see any cards on those two. We'll open and close the public hearing. Any members wishing to be heard on those? If not, let's go ahead and open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Those are approved, and 48 forthwith, please. If there's no objection, we'll send that forthwith. And we'll go back into the regular meeting. And next item, please.
Item 29 was called special for a card from the public.
Okay. We'll go out to Van Nuys and Miriam Fogler on item number 29.
I don't know why you people, I have to remind you, but President, a lot of you people are younger than in World War II when the Holocaust took place. And the first thing they did in Germany is to round up all the guns and all the ammunition. And that was the first step to totalitarianism and tyranny. And I don't want the same thing to happen here. And we cannot rely on just because you people are human beings, and it's normal to have this quest for power. That's why you were in office. I talked to Cardenas, a very nice councilman, and he knows his stuff. He's really good because the idea is power, and we cannot depend on you to take care of our city. We have to do it ourselves, and we need to work with our police department and to allow to not to interfere with our protecting our country. We got murderers out there that want us beheaded, and we don't want the same thing to happen and have another World War III here. So I don't want us having a hard time getting guns and ammunition to be a well-armed citizenry, so that these monsters won't come over here and blow themselves up and hurt us. We need to protect ourselves, and likewise all of you on the City Council too. We need to all be here together and stand together and unite together and be proud to be here in this great country. We need to protect ourselves and help our people who are fighting for our rights to be up here to speak and have justice and peace in this world. I mean, this is the greatest country in the world, and we got the government here that represents the people and want to sell it to Iraqis. I mean, they got chaos over there. They don't have any system over there to follow, and we're trying to show them example here. Let's be good and not vote for this. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fogler. Let's open the roll on this item, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
That is approved. Next item, please.
Item 36 called special for a card from the public.
Is Zuma Dog here? Mr. Dog, item number 36. Going once, going twice. Close the public hearing on that. Any members wishing to be heard? Seeing none, please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
That is approved. Next items, please.
Mr. President, that would leave the closed session items.
Okay, pursuant to California law, we will now go into closed session to consider legal matters before the City Council. Any action items that we take, we will announce afterwards. Mr. City Attorney?
And for the record, Mr. Parks will be recused on item number 47.
Okay, thank you. If we can please clear the council chambers. Thank you. Welcome back to open session. If we can please take up the items that we voted on in closed session. Mr. Clerk?
Yes, Mr. President. The first item is item 47, and there is a recommendation for settlement in the amount of $675,000 in the case entitled Megan Burns versus City of L.A.
Please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Okay, next item, please.
On item 42, there's a recommendation for settlement in the amount of $290,000 in the case entitled Michael Marshall versus City of L.A.
Okay. Let's go ahead and open the roll on this one. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
That is approved. Next item.
On item 43, there's a recommendation for a stipulated award in the amount of $98,095 plus a life pension of $19,935 in the workers' comp case entitled Richard Harper versus City of L.A.
Okay. Let's go ahead and open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes, 2 noes.
Okay, that is approved. Next item, please.
On item 44, there's a recommendation for a stipulated award in the amount of $116,977.50 plus a life pension of $49,843.04 in the workers' comp case entitled Paul Porter versus City of L.A.
Okay, please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes, 1 no.
That is approved. Next item.
On item 45, there's a recommendation for a stipulated award in the amount of $104,305 plus a life pension of $50.25 per week in the workers' comp case entitled Fernando Gil versus City of L.A.
Please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes, 1 no.
That is approved as well. Next item.
And on item 46 is a recommendation for settlement in the amount of $110,000 in the case entitled Sue Sharp versus City of L.A.
Please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
That is approved. And our last item.
That does conclude the closed session items, Mr. President.
Okay. All right, colleagues. Next order of business, Mr.
Council has motions for posting and referral.
Those are posted and referred.
The desk is clear.
Okay. Yes, if there's no objection, we'll send all those settlements forthwith, please. Any announcements, colleagues? Now it's time for announcements. Mr. Parks? I was already looking at you. Wasn't going to pass by.
Thank you very much. I have a couple of announcements that make my paperwork here. Basically, just to make the community aware that we'll be honoring the Genesee Center in council on March 23rd. They have been in the longest standing black initiated domestic violence intervention system in South Los Angeles. They'll be in council to be honored for their 27th year of service. And also many of us remember Mrs. Gwendolyn Stevens, who came to council a couple of years ago on a reward motion in which her son Steveland Singleton was killed in a act of violence in the community. She's going to have a 3-day memorial in his honor. March 24th at 9 a.m. there'll be a march and rally in Leimert Park. On Sunday the 25th there'll be a religious ceremony at the Hebron Baptist Church on Southwestern, and on Monday there'll be a remembrance vigil at the scene of the homicide at 4600 South St. Andrews. Thank you.
Thank you. Other announcements? Mr. LaBonge, anything to announce?
Thank you, everybody. The first day of spring came today, really, in sunrise, even though it was officially sworn in at 5:09 yesterday afternoon by Dr. Krupp at the great observatory.
Thank you very much.
Happy springtime, everybody.
Appreciate it. No other announcements? Do we have any adjourning motions from folks today? We do? Okay. Can I please ask everybody to rise for adjourning motions? Okay. Adjourning motions beginning with Mr. Parks.
Thank you, Mr. President. We'd like to ask the council to adjourn in memory of John Black, who passed away from a heart attack on Tuesday, March the 20th. He's a very active community member and leader in the University Park Expo Park neighborhood. He served as the chair of the CRA Hoover PAC for over 20 years. He's also a member of the North University Park Community in Action. He, in addition, was a member of numerous USC community advisory and steering committees. He's survived by his daughter, Letitia, and son, John, Jr., and funeral services are pending.
Ms. Hahn?
Yes, Richard Sewell, who is the nephew of Assemblymember Carl Washington, passed away at the young age of 33 after a battle with brain cancer. He was the son of Ora Washington, and he's also survived by his sister, Rolanda. But again, he was the nephew of Assemblymember Carl Washington. And his services are scheduled for Friday, the 23rd at 11 a.m. at St. Mark Baptist Church on Compton Avenue.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hahn. Mr. Zine?
Thank you, Mr. President. I have two. The first is Marcos Granillo, passed away March 19th. 36 years of age, Los Angeles police officer, appointed to the department April 3rd, 2006, signed a Hollywood division, succumbed to injuries sustained in an off-duty motorcycle accident on March 11th. His brother George, a detective at Rampart Division, was present at the time of the accident. He'll be greatly missed by his family and friends. May Officer Marcos Granillo rest in peace. And my other adjourning motion is for the former principal at Notre Dame High School, passed away, Brother Navard, passed away March 9th, 92 years of age. Passed away at Indiana Notre Dame University after a short illness, member of the Congregation of Holy Cross for 71 years. Brother Navard received a bachelor and master's degree in science from the University of Notre Dame, did postgraduate study in science at Berkeley, Yale, and Reed College in Oregon. After completing his studies at Notre Dame, taught at Holy Cross School in New Orleans, Los Angeles, Albany, and Indianapolis. Brother Navard resided and worked at Notre Dame High School, Sherman Oaks, California for 49 years, serving as science teacher, athletic director from 1951 to 64 when he became the fourth principal of the school. And I was attending that school from 1962 to 1966. In 1968, he left California to teach at Archbishop Curley High School in Miami, Florida for 2 years. Then in Rome at Notre Dame International School for 3 years. In 1973, Brother Navard returned to Sherman Oaks to serve in various positions, administrative assistant to the principal, alumni and development director, and plant manager. After retirement in 1987, he continued to tutor students in mathematics at the Sherman Oaks School until 2006 when he moved to Columbia Hall, Notre Dame, Indiana. He was well known in the San Fernando Valley and the Los Angeles area. He'll be greatly missed by his family and a host of friends and former students. May he rest in peace, Brother Navard.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zine. Any other adjourning motions, colleagues? If not, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll. We will next be in session this Friday, which is March 23rd, 2007.